Wow, this is so cool. Last time I was in this theater was a little while ago. It was for Roseanne Cash's show, which was fabulous. So I just love this theater. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you to Shanta, the Slow Living Summit organizers. Thank you to all the panel and discussion leaders, and you. Thank you for coming out. It wouldn't be a summit without you. You make the difference. My name is Allie Berlow. I'm honored to be here on the same stage. I'd like to introduce my collaborators and my instigators, my interpretive dancers, my musicians, not my musicians, the musicians, the artists, in our improvisational experience that we have for you today about food justice and access. Could I get a little help here? I feel like I'm bending down to the mic. My sound guy, sorry. Yeah, I don't quite know how to, anybody could help me. And then I'll do my introduction, sorry. I feel like I'm bending, yeah. That's great, thank you so much. Yeah, that's better, I think so, great. So those introductions. Maya Apfelbaum is a widely traveled interdisciplinary performance artist and environmental advocate who will share interpretive and ritual performance with my talk today and with you in a participatory ceremony as we close. Please stay for it. It's entitled Soil, Seeds, and Soul. Maya's multifaceted work in both the arts has led her to delve deeply into nature with subjects such as snow, rivers, elephants, and the power of the elements. And now today, food activism. And Stephan Brandstatter, a longtime Gong master who has been battling a slight illness, and we're really grateful he made it here today, is a percussionist and sound healer. Stephan will accompany us and help create the multi-layered experience. Stephan's musical journey has involved years of performing and recording with other artists from jazz and rock to mimes and classical dancers, both locally and overseas. And now again, also food activists he can put on his resume. He is currently working on a new CD called Spirit and Energy of the Gong, which will be released in the coming year. It works, technology, amazing. So here we are at the closing plenary of what I hope was actually an opening, a building upon existing realities, including new awarenesses and creative beginnings. I trust the days of the Slow Living Summit have been enlightening, inspiring, a collection of breakout sessions, panels, not only on food access and justice as we are here today, but on nutrition and business, resilient food systems and policies, all interspersed with exchanges of contact information, tweeting and Facebooking, networking, meals shared, cold coffee, hopefully some time for quiet reflection and fresh air, and perhaps a parking ticket or two. This afternoon, I will be sharing with you some things I've learned from 4 fellow food activists who I've been fortunate enough to know. One who shall remain nameless, Carlos Morentes, Temple Grandin, and Noli Taylor. But before we begin our improvisational experience here at Plenary, I'd like to read this quote aloud from Thomas Merton. It's also up here on the screen for you. Thomas Merton. The rush and pressure of modern life are a form, perhaps the most common form, of its innate violence. To allow oneself to be carried away by a multitude of conflicting concerns, to surrender to too many demands, to commit oneself to too many projects, and to want to help everyone in everything is to succumb to violence. More than that, it is a cooperation in violence, The frenzy of the activist destroys his own inner capacity for peace. It destroys the fruitlessness of his work because it kills the root of inner wisdom, which makes work fruitful. Please keep these words close, this quote in mind today and going forward. Maybe even print them out and keep a copy in your wallet or on your iPhone, because I think it speaks to the heart of us idealists and activists as we go about our life to create a just and equitable food system for all. Our food system has developed into convoluted sets of rules and regulations, policies based on bottom lines and profits, efficiencies and not people, not the environment, not animals, and not about the community, which is why we are here today. I encourage you, with the knowledge you've amassed, and after you leave here, to go home and look at your community's local and regional food system, whether it's in a city, a town, or a village, a neighborhood, a school, a hospital, or a YMCA, and ask, who is in it? Who is not? Who is included? Who isn't? Why? How did that happen? And does anyone remember? Does anyone know? Ask yourself and your colleagues, do the people you are trying to help want help? Did they use the words fix it, or did you? Look around. What do you love about your community, your food? How can you do more of that? Do more of what you're doing well. What are the stars above you and the new constellations you want to draw? You have everything you need. I'd like to read a passage from the introduction of my book, The Food Activist Handbook. It opens with a quote from Diane Nayed, the swimmer, "Find a way." My mom kept a sketch of my father's heart on a piece of scrap paper taped to the inside of a kitchen cabinet. His cardiologist drew it to explain what my father's heart disease looked like, how his 6'4" body was reacting to it, and what his impending heart surgery was to achieve. By that time in his life, his mid-60s, my father was overweight with high blood pressure and blocked arteries due to too much food, too much stress, and not enough exercise. The sketch showed how my father's body had creatively built a circumnavigation system to deliver blood and oxygen around the blockages in his heart. The slow, inefficient system was an energy drain, but his body made it work for a while, with Western medicine's help. Despite its damaged state, my father's body made detours and relied on them. That is what's happening in our food system today.
What's around you? Take care of the heart, the soul, the beat. Walk with your feet on the earth. Fruit frenzy! Activist frenzy! Violence! Whoa! 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 Conflicting interests. Slow down. Look around. Who is beside you?
I had the good fortune to travel outside of New England in the Midwest, where I'm from, to interview, observe, and listen for my book. This picture was taken in the Southwest. It is of an abandoned cotton field that a nonprofit was given with the goal to turn it into a teaching farm for the disadvantaged youth in the surrounding area. The nonprofit, the folks that worked there were all very generous people and put up with my often naive questions. One of the co-directors wanted to help, but it was difficult to pin her down to a time to meet or talk. She was busy. She was really busy getting ready for vacation. She had a lot of things to finish up before she left. And I get it. Someone drops into your life, wants to pick your brain, then they leave. But I persisted politely. Finally, after lots of tag you're it messages, we managed to set up a time to talk over the phone. I explained to her the premise of my book. I was looking for practical, real-life advice, helps and tips on how to create access to whole, fresh, healthy foods for everyone, not just those who can afford it. Would she be willing to contribute? What advice could she impart to me, to you, to the readers, for people who wanted to work in food justice or who already were doing so? There was a silence on the other end of the phone. I held tight my pen and paper ready. Then she spoke. She said, "Advice? Don't become like me." Her voice was strained, reedy, like ropes stretched beyond, frayed and about to break apart. She didn't have anything more to say. Silence held us both. I knew exactly what she was talking about. I'd been there. I'd been to the point of burnout. I'd even crossed it. I know what it feels like, and it is very lonely. I know when my adrenals are shot, when I'm sick with anxiety and stress, and now that I've learned that, I can identify when I need to pull back. During some intense periods of work in the nonprofit I founded, Island Grown Initiative, I'm not proud to say that all too frequently, family and friends had come second. The projects I was working on were all-encompassing, exciting, challenging, emotional. Sometimes I didn't know which way it was spinning, but I was doing good things, important things, things that would save the world, my community, things that would be good for farmers and animals and eaters. And they still are, all of that. Maybe not the world, but I was able to do some good in my community, and it's been very gratifying and thrilling too. I know those knots in her stomach, the tightening of the throat, the digestion that can only handle chamomile tea, buttered noodles, and not much more. It had happened to me, particularly during the building of a mobile slaughterhouse. And again, when the baby nonprofit was going through its growing pains, coming into its own as a full-fledged independent entity. Organizational change, it'll get you every time. Take care, you activists. Take care. Our conversation was short that day. I shifted from interviewer and writer to what I am in my heart, a caregiver. I told her there's a book out there she should get right away. It helped me, and I offer it to you today as well. It's called Trauma Stewardship, an everyday guide to caring for self while caring for others. Does it have a blue cover, she asked. Yes, it does, I answered. She said, I see it here on Amazon. I just ordered it. Good, I said. Good, and good luck. Take care. Take some time and call me if you ever want to. I never heard from her again. I didn't expect to, and that was okay. was a screening of the movie called Harvest, or La Cosecha. Excuse my Spanish accent, I have none, in my community. Again, the name of the movie is called Harvest. It's a documentary about US citizens, specifically children, migrant farm workers. It's by Robin Romano. He was an amazing photographer and filmmaker who passed away too early, only about a year and a half ago. He also worked on a movie called Stolen Childhoods, an award-winning film about child labor around the world, and it was narrated by Meryl Streep. I highly recommend these movies. When I walked into this movie, Harvest, about 2 years ago, I thought I knew something about food, where it comes from, who grows it, the benefits to local economies by supporting local farmers, food justice, access. After all, I'd been writing about food for years, did nonprofit work, I edit and co-own Edible Vineyard magazine, and had authored some books. But I walked out of that movie a changed person. Scales had fallen from my eyes at the knowledge and truth I learned there about our country, US citizens, specifically US citizen children, farm workers. On average, these children work 30 hours a week, migrating from May to November, making it exceedingly difficult for them to receive an education. These families live below the poverty line, not even being able to afford the food they harvest at home or get it in school because they're always out working. EPA pesticide regulations are based on a 154-pound adult male. They do not take into account children or pregnant women. Consequently, research indicates there's a strong link to children exposed to these levels of pesticides and developmental disabilities. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. When I talked to my son Elijah, who was about 16 or 17 at the time, about this movie and what I'd learned, my astonishment and frankly my shame, he told me that if I wanted to really learn something about farm workers, I should go to the border town of El Paso, Texas. He'd been there in a school program working at the Annunciation House, which is a safe place that accompanies migrants and homeless and economically vulnerable people on the border between Mexico and the US. Deal, I said to him, if you meet me there. And he did. So together, Eli and I met with Carlos Morentes, the executive director of the Border Farm Worker Center in El Paso. Carlos is also an active member of the DC-based Rural Coalition, a nonprofit that does federal farm and policy work. They are some seriously smart people. Here's my essay about Carlos in my book. There are 3 cups of coffee between me, Carlos Morentes, and my son Elijah. The dinner in the cafeteria this afternoon is cigar-thin burritos, flour tortillas, refried beans, some meat and cheese. Carlos decides to tell us a story. I go to my friend's house to visit, he begins. We're in his kitchen. He wants to give me something to eat. So my friend washes an apple, taking care to clean it, and then he hands it to me, a red, juicy apple. Thank you, Carlos says, and then, why did you wash the apple before giving it to me? So it's good enough for you to eat, my friend answers, to clean it of all the chemicals, the pesticides. You never know who touched it or where it's been. You know why, Carlos, a child would. Thank you, I say again, accepting his answer and the piece of fruit. Carlos leans in closer to Eli and I as he tells his story, while farm workers shuffle in and out of the center, picking up a burrito for dinner from the cafeteria ladies, respectfully greeting Carlos and us as they do. Carlos continues, but then I asked my friend another question, and now I'm going to ask you the same thing. He gazes at me and Elijah across the table that separates us. His eyes are dry and clear with birthright, indignation, and wisdom. His words are careful, insistent, and barely above a whisper. What do you do to care for food like that apple? Just wash it? Food is sacred, isn't it? A right. What do you do for the farmers and the farm workers who planted, grew, and harvested it? The land, air, and the water it needs to grow. The people like these people, and the children like their children. Carlos looks to Elijah. Children like you. Who should be able to eat this good food and that beautiful fresh apple? Who gets to eat that food? You see, he says, tapping the table emphatically, washing the apple was about him, my friend, and nothing else. Nothing. He shakes his head. What about everything else? What about everyone else? Carlos Morentes is a practical man. He saw a need in his community and he did something about it. As he tells it, he was handing pamphlets out to some farm workers on a cold El Paso night before they boarded the buses that would take them to the fields. He wanted to talk to the men about organizing around labor issues. One fellow told him, yes, Carlos, that would be good to one day be organized. But what would be really nice was a cup of hot coffee and a warm place to sleep, so I didn't have to sleep on the cardboard on the sidewalk. So Carlos and his wife, Alicia, led the way to building the Border Farm Worker Center on the US-Mexican border, directly across the street from the border control station, razor wire, and the bridge between our two countries. It took the leaders and the founders of this project about 10 years to complete the center, together with the city of El Paso, and today it stands, an 8,000 square foot building. There is dignity and respect in this place where farm workers can get that cup of coffee and a burrito made from scratch by the warm-hearted cafeteria ladies. It's a place where people can get their mail and leave their things safely. There are English and art classes for both children and adults, and a food garden is in the works. Now Carlos can do what he set out originally to do, which is to help workers organize. Carlos is a very practical man.
Cup of coffee for me too, please. Not just for them, for me too, please. Hot coffee. Hot coffee. Anybody have a coffee for me, please? Hot coffee for me too, please. I don't have enough money to buy hot coffee right now. Hot coffee for me too, please. Shelter for me too, please. Not just under the stars. An actual shelter in the rain, please. Hot coffee for me. Anybody have a coffee?
I have water if you have.
Yeah! Please! Something hot, cold water. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Let's build shelter for everybody. Let's have that water. Thank you. Let's have that justice, that shelter, that hot coffee. Everybody. Yes, we can do it. We can. We gotta keep creating this mandala until you come out here and help create that vision even stronger. This is an unusual format we're working with today, so we're just gonna keep rolling with it. I hope. Thank you.
The first time I met Temple Grandin, Dr. Temple Grandin, we were at a slaughterhouse in Howard, South Dakota. It was a small slaughterhouse, all things considered, and handled both kosher beef as well as conventional and non-kosher beef. Temple was there to audit and observe both practices and procedures, as the business owners wanted to qualify for her certification in animal welfare. This was about 10 years ago. This is a picture of Temple this past March speaking about autism at MIT. There's a person interpreting for the deaf. You can see the Twitter feed. There's a lot of action going on this stage. And she's speaking about autism and Asperger's, which is something she knows quite a bit about. Temple says she doesn't let autism define her. She's the author of numerous books, a highly sought-after speaker, a consultant, and a very kind person. She's also a professor of animal science at Colorado State University. Well, I wanted to talk about Temple as the activist, as the visual thinker. As a visual thinker, she thinks in pictures, not language, not patterns. This special gift that Temple has been realized and nurtured, and it has allowed her to become the animal welfare advocate she is. I understand to some the idea of humane slaughter is an oxymoron, that we kill animals for food is wrong. And I want to say I appreciate that, but that's for another talk. Temple writes in her book, The Autistic Brain, I knew that drawing was not only what I could do, it was what I could do best, and so I did it. I took what nature gave me and I nurtured the heck out of it. That is a lesson, I think, for all of us. Take what nature gives you and nurture the heck out of it, whatever your talents and your gifts are. At this talk that she was giving at MIT, one member of the audience, a self-identified person on the spectrum of autism, he asked her straight from the heart, how do I love myself? It was so direct, just like Temple is. There's no BS. How do I love myself was his question. Temple's answer included something she learned early on, that there would be no boy-girl romance or partnering in that way in her life. She'd never have it. Her answer was, I feel good about myself when I help others. And she does help others. She helps multitudes of people as an advocate for autism. She helps people understand what it means, how people's brains work, and she helps millions and millions of animals every day in her animal welfare work. This work with livestock is also about the people who raise the animals and about the people who work in the processing plants. Temple's work with animals and humane slaughter is about our humanity. One of the things I admire most about Temple is she clearly understands what she's good at. She understands how she thinks, and she knows how to apply her gifts to make an aspect of our food system more humane. I'd like to read this poem called Death of a Fox by James Still. He's an American poet, a novelist, and folklorist from Kentucky. He's since passed. Last night I ran a fox over, a sudden brilliant flash of gold, a setting sun of gilded fur, appeared in my car's beam, and then the fatal bump, and then the fatal thump. I asked the fox to forgive me. He spat as he died. I asked God to forgive me. I don't believe he will. Is there no pardon anywhere? And then I'd like to end this piece of Temple with this quote also by James Still. What happens in Afghanistan happens to me.
What happens to what? What happens to what? What happens to what?
What happens in Afghanistan happens to me.
Ha! 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 Everybody! Ha! Ha! Come together! Ha! 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 Come together now! Ha! 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 What happens in Afghanistan happens to the land. What happens to Afghanistan happens to the woman and the man. What happens in Afghanistan happens to the baby and the mother and the man and the woman and us in the sand, in the lake, in the sand, in the snow, in the sand, in the ocean. What do we know? We gotta sow. We gotta grow. We gotta take those seeds. We gotta take them up. We gotta take them up. Bring them to the light. Bring them to the dark. Bring them to the light. Bring them to the dark of the soil. Bring joy into our toil. Transform that pain. Make it replace that fucking oil. Drive the war back out of the system. We are the seed carriers. We are the mothers and the fathers and the children and the brothers and the daughters. We are the ones we've been waiting for. Aho! Ha! Aho! Ha! I hear your heart. Everybody together. Aho! We're almost through making the circle that you will be invited to. Thank you for that heartbeat.
Our last activist for today, meet Noli Taylor. Or as I like to call her, No-No, because Noli is the one that taught me the beauty and necessity of boundaries. The strength that is no, as in, no, I can't do that, I have a family obligation, a planned vacation, a deadline. That might be an acupuncture appointment, a date with myself to walk or swim, to eat lunch, not in my car. No, I can't meet you right now, my schedule's booked, my plate is full. No, we can't spend the donor's money that way in our organization. That's not what the donors or grantors gave it to us for. No, we can't pay our people any less because if we're going to work towards a just and equitable food system for all, that includes paying our people, our workers, a fair living wage. Lastly, your planning, your lack of planning, may not constitute my emergency, or another way to say it is this translation of a Polish saying, not my circus, not my monkeys. Those aren't all of Noli's no's, and she's much more eloquent and positive. She says them in a much more loving way than I am bluntly stating them here. Noli knows that of which she speaks. Her wisdom from being an activist includes her sage advice. I can only change what I can see. And here she is just last month on May 6th at the first ever Farm to School Day held in Boston at the State House, a day where advocate groups such as City Sprouts and Sustainable Cape, Mass Farm to School Project, and more activists spoke to representatives about the benefits of farm to school programming, as the state goes forth to hopefully adopt October as the Farm to School Month in Massachusetts to raise awareness and encourage participation. What this poor quality photo of mine unfortunately does not show were all the high school students that turned out that day at the State House to share their experiences of farm to school and make the case for it in their own words. Organized student activism around food policy was one of Noli's dreams, and here it is, come true. So here we are. We hurl ourselves through space and time and social media to do our good work. We are busy, busy people. I'd like to ask ourselves a few questions, and questions I ask myself all the time. Luckily you get to get inside of my head for a minute. What is worth doing? How do I know as an activist that the people I help want to be fixed? Did I ask them? Did they ever say, fix me? What did I ask, and did I listen deep enough? If a nonprofit is to do its job well, shouldn't its goal and mission include to work itself into extinction and leave a fiscally responsible legacy and paper trail of how they did it, what they did well, and what they learned? In the words of Patti Smith, the godmother of punk, keep a good name. I encourage all of us to build good organizations. There's no reason to reinvent the wheel. Collaborate creatively. We are living proof as we speak. Reach across the silos of education and public health, agriculture, the environment, the arts, and work together. Remain calm. As the airline stewards say before the plane takes off, put your oxygen mask on first before helping others. Reach out and support your leaders. Leadership can be isolating. Support your executive directors, board presidents, your selectmen, county and state representatives. Meet with them, share a meal, break bread together. If you work in the gardens and pastures, go into the woods. If you work in the bottomlands, find a hill. If you work in the country, find the sidewalks, streets, and skyscrapers of the city. Step outside. It's good no matter what you do. In one way or the other, it will take care of you in ways you cannot imagine. Start small, do something big. keep your phone charged, drink a lot of water, get eight hours of sleep. As Alice Randall, an author and food activist who wrote the foreword to my book, said, rethink your relationship to alcohol. Be prepared to do your homework. The day of a presentation is not the day to learn PowerPoint. If you think you've got all the answers and everything's figured out and you're the smartest person in the room, it's probably time to take a break. Step back. Judgment. How do you handle yours? What seeds are you planting? Our children, our neighbors, they watch us. Let us be kind. The people we work with watch us. If, as activists, we're consistently and constantly running on adrenaline, throwing ourselves here and there, they'll learn that, along with everything else. Stop the harm. Thank you. Stop the violence against yourselves. Ask for help and share what you know. It's not shameful or a sign of weakness, nor should this work be held proprietary. The world is a generous place. It needs to be, the food movement included. No talk about agriculture and food would be complete without invoking the wisdom of Wendell Berry. What I stand for is what I stand on. In closing, here's a list. In my closing, Maya's going to lead us in a closing experience. Here's a list of things you can do, starting today, to help create a more just and equitable food system. And if you don't see anything on this list right now, or if you can't read it because it's far away, that speaks to you, at least register to vote and vote on a platform of food. Please join Maya and Stephan and some special guests in our closing experience. And let me end with this quote from Howard Thurman, an African-American author, philosopher, theologian, educator, and civil rights leader. Don't ask yourself what the world needs. Ask yourself what makes you come alive. And go do that, because the world needs people who've come alive.
So thank you, thank you, thank you. Shanta is telling me we have a few extra minutes. How wonderful. We've been going slow and getting a lot done. Go slower to get faster, go faster to get slower. No, go slower to get faster. So we're gonna do something with you. And I've been placing these little pots, compostable pots, of very good Vermont soil made from Vermont cows and soil, Vermont moo and soil, to have you come up with, if you have your seed packets from the registration bag. Can you raise your hand high? High, only 4 or 5, anybody else? Look, if you have your registration bag with you, oh more, we're gonna ask if you'd be willing to share those seeds and be the first ones to come up if you're willing to share them. But all of you should have in your registration bags little packets of seeds, except for maybe people who arrived today. So very briefly, we're gonna invite you, the people with the seeds, to first come up here and open up their seed packets so we can then hand out seeds to everybody, okay? Thank you for all staying, and then what's gonna happen is we're gonna sing a song as you come up here. Make a line here, Shanta. Shanta, stand up a minute so they can see you. You're gonna make a line by Shanta, but let the seeds get up here first, please. Elise, come on up and help with the seed packages. And we're gonna sing a chant while we do that. It is from a sort of pagan, earth-centered, spiritual form. If it suits you, sing it with us. If it doesn't, you can substitute words of your own or change the meaning for yourself a little. Here we go, and please make a procession and come up and be blessed, and then stand around the pots. The earth is our mother. We must take care of her. The earth is our mother. We must take care of her. Hey, yana, ho, yana, hey, yan, yan. Hey, yana, ho, yana, hey, yan, yan. The earth is our mother. We must take care of her. The earth is our mother. We must take care of her. Hey, yana, ho, yana, hey, yan, yan. Hey, yana, ho, yana, hey, yan, yan. The earth is our mother. We must take care of her. The earth is our mother. We must take care of her. Hey, yana, ho, yana, hey, yan, yan. Hey, yana, ho, yana, hey, yan, yan. Hey, yana, ho, yana, hey, yan, yan. So thank you so much for waiting so beautifully. I'm just going to speak to you as a friend, a woman, a person like you, that this is an experiment. This whole collaboration has been a very serious experiment because Ali, who spoke so beautifully, and I didn't know each other before this conference. We've had very little time to actually meet in person. And same with Qiling, who helped with the soil. We met her yesterday. Elise and Elliot, I met many years ago, but have hardly ever spent time with them. And Stephan, luckily I've had the honor and the joy of working with a little more in a ceremony and a theater event called Gathering of Gratitude. But I thank them all so much, and Shanta so much for all the support she's given everybody. What I'd like to do now, without further ado, is ask you if you're going to join us up here. We're going to do a beautiful little closing ceremony about planting our seeds of intention. There'll be 2 different intentions, and I will explain that more. So it'd be lovely to have as many of you as possible up here. There are plenty of pots of soil in which you can put your seeds literally and metaphorically. And they're wildflowers, so you can be wild with your intentions. If you don't feel moved to do that, but you'd like to stay here, beautiful to have witnesses, I'd ask you to maybe move up towards the front so you can hear what goes on and witness it with a little more proximity. Any questions? Does it all make sense? Okay, so, and in terms of the seed packets, I don't know quite how we're going to distribute them. I will. I'll be naming the intentions. I just want to get people up here and make sure they have seeds. So I'm not sure. You can work that out very quickly and beautifully, and Elise will bless you as you come up. And I'll rattle you in. So come this way if you can. But it's okay this side. So come this way if you can. So you can go through a little entry into the portal. Thank you. And again, any of you who are still out there, it's lovely to have you out there. If you'd like to, come a little closer, it's great. If you want to stay where you are, it's fine. Everything's good. That expression, all is good. And if you need to leave, it's fine too. Okay, but just if you're here, keep your energy with us. All right? Don't go daydreaming about your teleconference tomorrow if you can help it. Okay, so welcome everybody. This has been an amazing experience working on this because it's so ground level, right? Everybody needs food. It's common denominator everywhere in the world, right? And we're doing this amazing thing throughout the world, and this region is really beginning to show a level of attention and mindfulness of that in some ways has always been there, I think, and there's always been farmers who are very connected to the land, and fruit growers and sheep herders. And somehow it feels like it's spreading, right? It's deepening in a new way, even though it's always been there. So this is going to be your turn to take whatever you got from before the conference, the summit, top of the mountain. Preach it, folks! Preach it like at the top of the mountain, right? I have a dream, right? I have a dream that someday small black children and white children will walk hand in hand. I have a dream that there will be equality and justice on this land. So take it to that level if you want. Take it small, keep it inside. Don't reach out. You're going to go ahead with two intentions. I'll lead you through them. First is an intention about how to take care of yourself, like Ali was saying, like the airplane stewardess is saying. Take care of yourself, your heart, your body, your emotions, your mind. You need a bath. You need a little drink. Not too many, but a little drink. You need to go run in the woods. You need to talk to your boss even though you're afraid to, etc. So take a moment to do that with intention for your own self-care. And then after we've done that, and I'll lead you into that in a minute, we will have this huge community talk. We also cover an intention that you want to make, maybe a small one, like just helping a neighbor or your family, or maybe a larger one for the community or for your family or neighborhood. So the first is for yourself. The first intention in your little pot that you will can take home. Does everybody have at least a few seeds? If anybody doesn't, can you raise your hand if you don't have a few seeds? Wow, how wonderful is that? We're sharing the wildflowers. So I would suggest if you have enough, put at least 3 in this little pot so they have a chance. And then when you get home, water them, or even here there's some water, and put them in a plastic bag. Yes, plastic can be handy. And in a warm space where they'll get moisture and warmth, and hopefully 1 or 2 or maybe 3 will germinate, and then you can either put them outside in this compost little pot, or you can transfer them to whatever. So many of you probably have gardened more than me. So 2 or 3 or 4 seeds if you can. But save at least 1 seed in your hand for the community pot, for that intention for the world around you. Okay? So what we're going to do is play a little bit of sound to help you just go inward for a few moments for the thought about yourself. If you don't have a pot for yourself yet, go ahead and take that from the mandala. That's what they're for. Take a big breath in. And then it can join you. So, big breath in again, feeling it from below the stage, below the ground, up through your body, up through your hands, up to the sky, to the stars, to the wind. Another full breath all the way from below your feet, through your feet soles, up through your legs, your tailbone, your sacrum, your spine, to your ribs, your chest, your heart, up through your neck, your head. Fully breathing in and out to the side. And now in any way that suits you, just take a moment to enjoy and to think of one small or one big or several things to nurture yourself. And when you're done thinking of that, or even if you can't think of it, go ahead and plant those seeds in your little pot. Oh,
So
you.
you have 8 minutes.
Oh, good. So you were really
I just wanted to be present.
You know when you got shot to say that, you really got Okay, because she's been the person coordinating, organizing, keeping track of absolutely everything. So, Shanta, I'd actually like you to come in the center a minute.
Okay.
And I don't know how many of you know this woman, and I'm not going to make you get barefoot and stand in the center pot.
Okay.
But just for a moment, I'd like everybody to say together on the count of 3. Thank you, Shanta, and all people who did this slow living summit. But I want this to go into you, Shanta. I want you to do this as a special little time since we have a few minutes.
Sure.
Okay, ready?
I'm a little shy right now.
Thank you, Shanta.
I say thank you.
Yes, okay. And that's, thank you there. But
Thank you.
now, yes, so we're going to start with Shanta. We're going to do this a little ceremonially where you can, keep your soil for your own.
Oh no, I'm bad with plants.
Oh.
Telling on myself, I cannot. I don't want to know how to do it. But do I water it?
Yeah.
I'm just being honest.
That's great. You break up all of this.
Yeah.
So, I will invite Shanta, if you want to stay up here though, and what I'm going to invite you to do is one by one, starting with Ali, to go in and plant, if you have a community seed that you want to plant. If you want to keep your own soil, just keep those as 2 separate things, and then Shanta will water a little. If you want to give a little extra energy to what you're giving to the community, blow a little spirit in it, or say it out loud for all of us to hear. Okay, we'll go around the circle.
Say my intention.
Yeah, if you'd like to, it'd be great. Nice and loud.
May we be peacemakers.
Aho.
Oh.
And maybe with each one we can have like a quick little chime or something. So the next one, thank you. And maybe you want to say your name and your intention.
Geraldine. May we offer the love.
Thank you.
Aho.
Carolyn. Aho. Thank you.
To the bliss of dirty fingernails.
Aho.
Judith, water for all.
Aho.
John. Peace, justice, brotherhood, wholeness, wellness, new life.
Aho.
Peace in the earth, on the earth, and in each one of our souls.
Aho.
Kim, love and light throughout the world.
Aho.
May we continue to support each other as we have.
Aho.
Lisa, may all of the good works that are in the circle blossom and grow.
Aho.
Bonnie Jean, to honor the Sabbath and keep it holy.
Elliot, to be fearless with generosity and to feel the abundance of the community.
Aho.
I'm Stephan. Create loving vines of compassion to all.
Maybe we all be inspired to bring our truth to the world.
Aho.
And make our bodies, minds, and spirits cohere so that we are healthy.
Aho.
Mickey? Bringing Vermont to Whidbey Island.
Aho.
Eating. Fun and celebration.
Esler, for the ones that came before us and the ones to come.
Jesse. May we learn from everyone that we encounter.
Love, laughter, and connection.
Aho.
Emily, maybe we have an education system that is liberated and meaningful and useful for the world that we want to see happen.
And to learn to grow flowers and herbs and produce myself to share with others and to help others learn to do that.
Aho.
Ed, and may you all call me Ed. It's 90 years, and may this grow depth for all of us, and next 90 to celebrate my 100th and 10th.
Peace, life, harmony, and compassion for all beings.
Michael, to the bride, mother of our future. Aho.
Sarah, food empowerment for all.
Aho.
Sue,
hoping that we're all planting seeds for a green earth, clean water, clean air, peace and justice.
Bill, may we all strive to be fully present in everything we do.
Andrea, may we all see the joy in each day and then bring joy to each thing we do.
Another Andrea. May we all get enough sleep.
Scott. May we remember our past, live in the present, and move towards the future, and not take life too seriously.
That we are all brothers and sisters.
Elise, may we have courage to experiment and have trust in the skills needed to let down our arms at holding one another at arm's length and jumping into manifesting some of the dreams that dwell within us of new ways of living on the planet.
Patrick, good food for all.
Beautiful circle with this incredible backdrop. Except, and that's what I'm saying, Stephan, and if any of you still want to come up, and I can do the rest, Stephan.
Blessings to everyone here who's been here and is gone. May you have a very happy life every day you're on out. Don't forget your heritage. What your heritage is where you came from and where you are going to.
And I think we have a couple more coming up, so you can keep holding your soil that you're going to take home, or you can put it on the ground, and let's take a tiny step back to make a little more room. Have you got a couple of seeds left by anybody? If not, we can do it symbolically, but we have some seeds there. And then we will be closing so you can all go to the street festival. Not quite yet. Slow. Wonderful witness.
Humility.
Read these.
So, just to take us into the depth and the beauty that it is, but in a light way, like a song that can work beautifully for children and adults. We're just gonna sing a few verses of the song. You probably all already know, inch by inch, that song. Yeah. And we could all crawl around like worms too, but I think so we're just gonna sing it, and this is all improv. John offered last night to play the guitar. If you wanna shake a seed, if you see a seed pod near you, I painted these today, you can shake a little seed pod, and Elisa's going to lead it. And then, when you're done, please don't forget to take your pot with you. Put it somewhere safe if you can. And we're going to bring this huge community pot to live up at the river garden. And hopefully some of the seeds will germinate, but even if they don't, the energy, the symbolism, the intention is there. Is there anything anybody else wants to add before we go into the song? You're welcome. So after the song, just feel free to schmooze or toast people with your soil and wander out into the street. If anybody would like to stay on stage to help clean up a little. I'm sure the stage doesn't mind the soil too much, but the next performer. Here we go.
Inch by inch, row by row, gonna make this garden grow. Gonna make it deep and low, gonna make it fertile ground.
Let's just do the chorus for everybody once so that they can hear it once without singing along. And then we'll do a few verses and then we'll do the chorus with you. So let's do the chorus.
Yeah, that's
No, maybe that.
We start with the
All right, just sing it? Okay.
inch by inch, row by row, gonna make this garden grow. Gonna mulch it deep and low, gonna make it fertile ground. Inch by inch, row by row, please bless these seeds I sow. Please keep them safe and low till the rain comes tumbling down.
Now the chorus.
Inch by inch, row by row, gonna make this garden grow. Gonna mulch it deep and low, gonna make it fertile ground.
Next verse.
Okay, this is a verse. Growing weeds and picking stones, we are made of dreams and bones. Need a place to call my own, for the time is near at hand. Inch by inch, row by row, gonna make this garden grow. Gonna mulch it deep and low, gonna make it fertile ground.
Now the chorus. I mean, verse.
This is the second part of the first verse. Grain for grain, turn and rain, find my way in nature's chain, till my body and my brain tell the music of the land. Chorus. Inch by inch, row by row, gonna make this garden grow. Gonna mulch it deep and low, gonna make it fertile ground. This is another chorus. Inch by inch, row by row, please bless these seeds I sow. Please keep them safe and low till the rains come tumbling down. Plant your rows straight and strong, seasoned with a prayer and song. Mother Earth will make you strong if you give her loving care. Inch by inch, row by row, gonna make this garden grow. Gonna mulch it deep and low, gonna make it fertile ground.
Once more,
Inch by inch, row by row, gonna place these seeds I sow. Please keep them safe and low till the rains come tumbling down. Till the rains come